this season. With that, we bring in our first guest today from ESPN Radio in Louisville and from the Louisville Cardinals radio broadcast. He is Bob Valvano. Bob, thanks so much for hopping on.
Brian, happy to be with you. Before we start, I got to ask you a question. We can't figure out. I looked online. I can't find it. What's with all the green shirts? What the hell's going on today?
That is I believe it's a National Grid sponsoring something. Yes, it is a sponsored shirt. Why they're doing green shirts, I don't recall. They did it last year. And, yeah, so local energy company sponsoring something for some reason, I think is what's happening.
I thought it was, the old days in the NBA, they used to have double headers, believe it or not. I thought maybe maybe Notre Dame was in the first game tonight or something. I didn't know. So anyway.
Yeah, unfortunately, the Notre Dame women have already blown through town. That did not go well for the home team because Notre Dame's really good on that side of things this year. All right, Bob, we need you. I need your help on this. Who the heck did you roll into town with? We don't know who any of the people are that you showed up with this Louisville team this year. What is this year's Louisville squad that is literally completely changed over?
Well, until the third game, they all had to wear name tags because they didn't know each other either. No, that's one of those teams. There's been a couple of them who've done it. The team right up the road from us, Kentucky's done the same thing. I think it's more challenging than people realize. You've got to not only bring players in that have a skill set that can play at this level, and Pat Kelsey, our coach, who came from a mid-major, very, very good mid-major in College of Charleston, but, you're never totally sure exactly what level of player you need. And then you've got to get players whose skill set complements each other and who are going to be coachable and buy into their roles. And fortunately, so far, they've done all that. Now, it's easy to say that when you're on a winning streak, but even when early in the year, they just look like they had the ingredients to be a team that would come together. They've got complementary skill sets. Like I said, they seemingly really like each other. He seems to be a guy they enjoy playing for. Whenever you win, you always go, what nice kids. So I don't want to overly romanticize it. They're winning right now. After we've lost for the last 2 years pretty dramatically. But the fact is, they do seemingly, they're respectful and they work hard and they listen. And he tells me privately, they're like sponges in the film room. They pay great attention. And so, it's been a lot of fun. I've had as much fun in this first half of the year covering this team as probably any team that we've had here in Louisville. That's saying a lot. So we'll see if we can keep it going. We'll find out.
You've seen them win a national championship, which generally is pretty fun when it comes to it. So that tells you a lot of things. Last year, Bob, when we talked, and attendance numbers can be deceiving based on what they are and who's actually there, but there was nobody at the Center last year, right? Like, people were totally out on this team. How have people re-embraced Louisville basketball? Is the crowds showing up again this year?
Yeah, it was bad last year. They would, the PA guy would come on and say, "Dear sir, here are the starting lineups for tonight's game." That was not a good thing. That's an old joke. But anyway, no, it's been really good. I think that one of the yardsticks is, you guys get your fair share of snow around here. We don't get that much, and we had the largest snowstorm that Louisville got in, I think it was 25 years, and they had about 14,000 people show up, which was saying something, and that was way more than they had last year on perfect days. I think that the Pitt win will, listen, for your sake, I'm sorry, but hopefully Louisville get a win tonight. That would mean a lot. When you win at places, they won at Virginia, where quite literally they'd never won. They beat North Carolina. You look at the top part of our league, and the top teams, if you include Louisville in that top six, the other five teams, they played four of them, and they beat three of them.
Wow.
That is, that's saying something. So the people are getting excited. Now, playing at the Dome is always a difficult thing for anybody. We all know that. And you guys, as you said in your intro, have won back-to-back games. So I don't think anybody's expecting this to be an easy game for Louisville. If they can get out with a win, I think the people at home would really be fired up about this squad. They've been easy to like. They're weird, and it's a tough matchup in some ways for Louisville tonight, if you want to be honest, because they shoot a lot of threes. They really haven't shot them at a great percentage, and I know Syracuse's three-point percentage on the season is not very good either, but the one thing that Syracuse does is they get to the free throw line and they out-rebound you. And that's, I really believe, been more of the key to Louisville's success so far. They've been a really good rebounding team. You wouldn't think it if you look at the roster. They don't really have a monstrous inside player, but they've been very good rebounding, and they've gotten to the free throw line a lot. And so tonight they get a team that does those things probably as well as they do. So that may tell a lot. We'll see how it plays out. And, of course, the turnovers will be a factor, and that's been, I know, a bugaboo for the Orange so far this year a little bit. So all those things will – listen, it is – all those things, you can always cherry-pick them, but it's kind of been hard to figure how they've been this good, to be honest, because the things that you thought they were going to be good at, I'm talking about Louisville now, they haven't been that good at. They haven't shot threes particularly well, but they've done those other things, and we thought, rebounding is going to be a problem. They're not very big, and then they lost Kaysen Pryor, who I thought was going to be one of their key rebounders, and yet they've still managed to just go win games and play very well on the road.
Yeah, Syracuse gets to the line, Bob. It doesn't always go in the hoop, but they will they'll take the free throws.
Yeah, we've had our share of that too, but really it's one guy, and he's a terrifically important player for Louisville in that he brings a unique skill set. I'm talking about James Scott, the kid who is the closest thing to a center they have. He's just a horrible free throw shooter, and he's not going to get better. It is what it is. They're going to have to live with it. But he blocks shots and he rebounds and he's shooting. Dig this stat: he's shooting 83% from the field because all he does is take dunks basically. But I watch film, and it's not as easy as, he just stands there and they throw the ball, he dunks it. He's very smart at moving and making sure that he gives his teammates passing angles so they can get it to him for dunks. And so he's actually a very important player, even though if you look at the stats, he's pretty far down the list in just about everything. Even rebounding, he's not the leading rebounder, even though he's the center. Javon Hadley is that. But he, when he's in the game, he makes a tremendous difference to their lineup.
All right. How good, Bob, is this Chucky Hepburn? Coming in out of Wisconsin, played a ton of ball there. He's leading the league in steals, leading the team in points. So what kind of guy are Orange fans going to see tonight in him?
He's a really, really good and fun player to watch because my partner Paul Rogers uses a term for a lot of guys. It's like his highest form of flattery. He's crafty. He's a crafty player. And what I mean by that is he's not lightning quick, but it's very weird how he just manages to get in the lane and get to the basket. He changes pace better than maybe anybody I've ever seen. He stops and he goes and he stops and he goes and he keeps rocking back and forth until his defender, he finally senses he's got him off balance a little bit or he's got him leaning in, and then he gets into the lane, and he's very smart when he gets in there. If he's big enough to shoot over you, he'll take the shot. If he's not, if he's got that situation where the big man comes to help, he'll throw it up for James Scott to dunk it. And in a lot of cases, he's terrific at finding Rain Smith, who's become a terrific three-point shooter. He's made more than twice as many threes as anybody else on the team. When I say become a great three-point shooter, he's been a great three-point shooter his whole career. He played for Kelsey at College of Charleston. He's from Australia, but he lit it up last game. He had 7 threes, and he's really feeling it right now. And the other thing is, when Chucky gets to the line, and he's an 83% free throw shooter. So if you take James Scott out of the equation, they're actually a pretty good free throw shooting team. Hepburn shoots 83%. Rain Smith shoots 89%. Javon Hadley shoots 76%. They've got a good free throw shooting team, but when they throw it to the big guy, it's a bit of an adventure. But Chucky's really good. And he has a stretch in every game where I like to say he's guarding everybody. That's what it looks like. He said, I'd say to Paul, here comes, he's guarding everybody, where he's not only guarding his man, but he's so smart. He anticipates passes and passing angles, and seemingly he's guarding all 5 guys, and he's liable to get a steal from anywhere. And that's a big thing for them because when he gets live ball turnovers, and as you mentioned, one of the leaders in the conference, he's got 45 steals. Nobody else on the team has more than 13. So if they're going to get live ball turnovers, it's got to be through Chucky.
Okay, him versus JJ tonight should be a fascinating matchup, assuming that's kind of how that breaks down in the game today. And now to head just way deeper on your bench, just the transfer portal era that it is. You run into the former players every now and again. Frank Anselm started the Qs with Georgia. Now he's kind of deeper on the Louisville bench. Is he giving anything to the depth right now? What's Frank doing at Louisville at the moment?
If you talk to Pat, he will sing Frank's praises. Sometimes coaches will do that, with guys who don't play much because they want to, keep them kind of involved. But I don't think he's just telling tales. When he comes in, he'll play maybe 2-3 minutes, but he always seemingly does things that are positive. Last game was a good example. He played 3 minutes, came in, drew a foul, got an offensive rebound, tipped the ball to keep it alive that they ultimately got, and second chance points was maybe the deciding factor against Pittsburgh. And Pat says, and you could see how his teammates react to him. They love him. He's a very positive influence in practice. He's a very smart player. So he's contributing a lot in ways that really are not showing up on the stat sheet. I mean, he's only playing, I think it's 4 minutes a game. So he's not getting a lot of run. But there was a time when even those 3 or 4 minutes were a big deal because they were so shorthanded. I mean, they lost Case and Pryor for the year. Kadir Traore was out. He's just come back. Waterman has a finger that's messed up. I don't even know what it is, but they put a screw in it, and so he hasn't been at full strength. So it's nice that they've just got another smart, experienced body that they can bring it off the bench. And when he does good things, which is really good to see.
Yeah, it's just it's the tale of college basketball now. He's, 5 years in? He's been all over the lot, and we'll be seeing him back in the Dome here tonight. Bob Valvano is our guest. All right, Bob, I feel like I'm asking everybody this year that's involved in the ACC in some way. You've seen this league for a long time. I feel like the last few years, this league got a weird bad rap, right? Like the perspective just seemed off nationally on the league. This year, it looks like that perspective may be correct, that the league's not very good. What is your sense of the ACC as a whole? Obviously, Duke's good, but what's your sense of the league right now?
Not very good. But the reason I say that so cavalierly is because the nature of college sports right now doesn't mean it's not going to be not only good next year, great next year. Mm-hmm. You don't know. I mean, players are coming and going left and right, but we're deluding ourselves if we think this is one of the banner years for the league. It's clearly not. The SEC-ACC challenge was an eye-opener. There's no question about that. I mean, they won the 2 games they won were very close, and the games they lost were very one-sided. But it's good news, bad news, because, I mean, the good news is everybody should feel like they're still in it. And Louisville, certainly, like I went to Bart Torvik's website today, and it's got Louisville as like a 92% chance to make the tournament. If you'd have told us that coming off these last 2 years, I mean, we'd have been hugging Bart Torvik and his whole family. But you kind of have an opportunity to get healthy in a hurry. The downside is it's going to be really hard to get your resume, going because you're not going to have a lot of quad one chance games to play. I mean, a perfect example, Louisville's on a tremendous winning streak, and they just barely now in this last poll got into the also receiving votes. I would think if they were on this kind of streak in just about any of the other power leagues, they would at least have sneaked into the top 25. So, and we'll see. Maybe it turns out they don't belong there. Maybe they've just hit a good stretch. I don't know. There's still a sense of, people waiting to see. Just let's see some more. But But to answer your original question, we're just going to have to deal with the fact that it's not a great league. But that doesn't mean it's not going to be an interesting league and not going to be a great ACC tournament. And and there are still some storylines to play out here. We'll see just how good Louisville is, and we'll see which of the teams in the middle of the pack kind of emerge because somebody's going to, I think. SMU's an interesting team. Stanford's an interesting team. Hard for me to say that about the ACC, but they are. So, we'll see where it goes from here.
Yeah, I was on that same website, that Bart Tarvik website today, Bob, and there's 5 teams. They're like, yeah, you guys will be in the tournament, and the rest of the league, they're like, yeah, not so fast. Don't even think about it. There was a lot of, you got like a quarter of a percentage to make the tournament this year.
Yeah, so. Some of them are really minuscule. They really are, but that doesn't alter the fact that. The cliches are all true. There's a lot of basketball to be played. We don't know. People are right now, I hate to say it, but if Louisville were to suffer an injury to a couple of key guys or even a key guy, they don't have much depth. There's probably a lot of teams in that same boat because of the transfer portal situation. So things can change pretty quick. The one thing we do know, Duke's legit. Mm-hmm. They're a legitimate threat to win the whole thing. They're good. But the rest of the equation is still a movie in progress. Like I said, though, the thing that we're encouraged by, and I don't think it's something that is just trying to put a happy face on it, is that Louisville's played. Their schedule was front loaded when it came to conference play. It really is, and this game's in that bunch. It's not to say they're going to suddenly wreck through the rest of the league. But as I said, whether you think the league is strong, poor, or in between, there's still some teams that are better than others, and they have had to play the tougher teams early. So if they can keep their wits about them, maybe they can put together a good regular season run. We'll see.
All right. Well, this Cuse-Louisville matchup for years and years now, ever since Louisville joined the Big East back in the day, has always been a pretty fun one, Bob. So enjoy it tonight, and appreciate the time as always.
Thanks for having me on. I'm headed to the bus right now, so we'll be over at the arena in 15 minutes.
All right. There you go. We'll let you get going, Bob. Thank you. There he is, our guy.
Thanks, Brian. Take care.
There he is, Bob Valvano. Always great to chat with Bob around about this time of year where Cuse and the Ville get together. Not quite the rivalry week matchups that it has been some of the times. Not quite the numbers next to the names than as some of the time, but always great to hear Bob's voice, and he'll be over there at the Dome, and as he said, in just a little bit.